Good morning. Thanks so much for tuning into the trade setup. I'm Neeraj Shah. This is the final trade setup for the year before I go for my leave. So thank you for throughout the year for joining in and let today be hopefully a good indication of what could happen in trade today. Not too much in terms of news flow, to be honest, but for the fact that Europe was in the green and US was markets were in the red. In fact, they'll come up on your screen next, marginally in the red yesterday. And I use that term marginally compared to what has happened. Actually, the Nasdaq was down about 1.5%. The Dow about half odd percent. So that fourth straight day of a fall, futures may be in the green, may not mean too much. The other cues are steady, 104 for the dollar index, CBOX there, 10-year yields rotating between 3.45 to 3.65. So no surprises out there. The SGX Nifty indicates a start, maybe marginally lower in the yes, marginally lower, flattish to marginally lower. We had a good day in trade yesterday, I must say, much to my surprise, really. So no predictions about what will happen to the index. I anyways can't do that. I don't think too many people can do, to be honest. But flattish start anticipated as per the SGX Nifty. I think broadly, if you zoom out, the strategy of buying near supports and staying light near the resistance is what is working. And maybe that's the easy thing because that's recommended by almost everybody that I've read over the last 2 or 3 sessions. So maybe, but that's what working. And therefore, just keep that in mind. I mean, the range and where you can buy, where you can sell, because it seems to be a fairly range bound market. The Bank Nifty bulls yesterday, simple, right? Managed to hold that support of 43,000. And I think from whatever little I read, that's the place, that's the area where people believe the Bank Nifty support will hold. So that's something to monitor. Yesterday, we saw insurance and related stocks as well as autos finding favor at dealer desks. Could that continue? Remains to be seen. It's a big day for platform companies in real estate, general insurance companies, life insurance companies. Pretty strong buying seen in select names. And most dealers mentioned that that might continue as well. So that is something to be watched out for. Sugar had a fabulous day in trade yesterday, right? You look at almost all the names, some very serious price and volume action. Look at that. Sakti, the gains are about 15% volume delivery volumes versus the 2 week average, about 7.5. Similarly for the other, Simbali, 7.5, up 20%, Dhampur up 11%, volumes 5.5. Awadh was 7.5%, not as much, not double-digit gains, but again, strong volume performance as well. So pretty strong going for the cement names. Extremely sharp up moves, maybe due to what the minister mentioned about higher percentage of ethanol blending in gasoline being considered, or this whole news flow around that GST rates for sugar or ethanol really. Maybe all of that led to this up move. The question is whether it can continue or no, remains to be seen. But yeah, I mean, the sector doesn't seem to be in a weak spot. So you got to be mindful of that. There's an IPO today, LN Electronics opening up. It's an electronics manufacturer and services provider. The price band is about 234 to 247. The issue price, the size of the issue is 475 crores. But remember, 300 crores out of that 475 is OFS, so it doesn't quite go back to the company, but is an offer for sale. Prabhudas Dayala, however, says subscribe to the IPO for the long term because they believe that the company is backward integrated and they've got fairly strong customer relationships as well. I mean, they don't have a target these days. A lot of these notes, IPO notes, don't have a target. I thought I'll bring to you what one of the notes that I had access to said about the IPO. So, LN Electronics, do watch out for that. Stocks to monitor in the session today. Dabur India, promoters plan to sell stake worth about 800 crores through a block deal. The block deal will likely be at a 4% discount to the CMP, and Goldman Sachs is the broker to the deal. This is as per news reports on CNBC Awaaz. So do watch out for Dabur India today. Sterling Wilson, renewable energy promoters, Shapoorji Pallonji and Company, and Khurshid Yazdi Daruwala will sell up to 3.69 and 1.58% stake of the company respectively, amounting to about a crore shares at a floor price of 270 today and tomorrow. And remember, yesterday's closing price, it was down about 1.5% and came in, was at 283. So at 270, it's about a 4%, up to a 4% discount. That Sterling Wilson Solar might be as a it's a day of deals, by the way, day of deal news flow. Justal is the other one wherein promoter Reliance Retail Ventures will sell about 16.86 lakh shares, representing 2% of the capital via the open market sale to achieve the minimum public shareholding. So three names out there already. IRB Infra could be in focus. It's going to consider a stock split on Jan 4th. It's just a technical adjustment, but people get excited by this. For whatever it's worth, I just thought I'll bring it to you. The telecom subscription data came out, and V is the loser, Geo is the winner. Airtel is not as big a winner as Geo, but you could argue is a bit of a winner as well. So, you know, uh, on the VLR base, industries VLR base did expand quite a bit, third straight month. Strong addition for Geo, while Bharti and V saw their base contract. Now, in overall subscribers, we lost about 3.5 million subscribers in October. Bharti saw subscriber base inch up by 0.8 million. Geo added 1.4 million, the highest amongst the operators for the seventh straight month in a row. Clearly, they are doing something. So that's about the telco data as it came out. So do watch out for that as well. Then there's a note from ICICI Direct on 2023 targets. So they are saying Nifty target for calendar year 23 is placed at 21,400. They are bullish, which is interesting because most global brokerages, by the way, okay, let's talk about the global brokerages after this way. First, let's talk about ICICI Direct. Nifty target 21,400. Strong support according to them at 16,200 levels. Over the past 4 decades, they say the third year returns of each decade have been positive with median of 18%. 70% of the times a pre-election year has generated positive returns, and mid caps and small caps will outperform large caps. Now, on most things I agree with, or rather on the last line, I definitely agree with them. But here's the point is, most global brokerages that I talk to fundamentally look at the markets, talk about 2023 being a year of not particularly great returns because a lot of volatility anticipated, especially because if you read The Economist as well, I think they're talking about the war, conflict between Russia and Ukraine continuing for a multi-year period, so to say. You're not out of the woods by any stretch of imagination. If the US markets have a bit of a downdraft, then the Indian markets, which are expensively valued, might certainly have a bit of a corrective move as well. So interesting to see those targets, but hey, India is likely going to be the only major growing market with some very strong gains, and therefore never know. It could be a third year of buoyancy of sorts. So let's wait and watch if that were to happen. There are some questions, right? Or people asking whether Indian markets being disconnected to the US markets is at a risk or no. Balaji Prasanna is asking but that, Balaji, the point is this happened not just in these last 4 days, but even slightly previously. And this is happening despite domestic markets getting sold off. I think the foreign investors doing the outflows. The domestic money seems to be okay. I think we look at the reported numbers of what the FIs have done or what the mutual funds have done, but the EPFO money coming in, the insurance money coming in, kind of has avenues to find. And while interest rates are now moving up, there are some mandated inflows into Indian equities, which might just help equity markets at all. So is there a risk? I mean, I don't know if there is a risk or no, but there is a risk of equity markets underperforming if the Western markets come off. So that certainly stays. But most people that I talk to, again, kind of talk about how they don't want to take the risk of being left out in the Indian equity markets. And therefore, they'll stay invested and maybe lose a little bit. Won't try to be too cute on the tactical side. But it takes all time. So I think you should frame your own strategy. Timing the market largely has proven to be a mug's game, you would have to agree. So keep that in mind. Interesting conversation today. Bearing Private Equity Partners Rahul Bhasin joins in. It'd be lovely to talk to him about a lot of interesting things, including Indian IT, so on and so forth. So that is something to watch out for. Renuka Sugars, Atul Chaturvedi talks about the sugar space. Remember, it was very active, like I mentioned at the start of the trade setup today. And viewers, while I'll be on leave, there will be a bunch of very interesting calendar year 2023 conversations lined up all through next week. You will hear Ramdev Agarwal on equities. You will hear Saman Powell of Jefferies on global markets and India. You'll hear Sonal Verma of Nomura on the Indian macro. Nitin Rakesh and Sandeep Kalra of Emphasis and Persistent together will do a conversation about what could be in store for Indian IT companies in 2023. That is something you watch out for. Nilesh Shah of Kotak will be in tango with Firoz Aziz in conversation with my colleague Alex to talk about what the mutual fund scene could look like as well. So next week has some fairly powerhouse conversations. You might want to tune in for some of those for sure. From the trade setup team, at least for calendar year 2022, a genuine thank you for joining in. We'll not be doing any more trade setups, at least on the video front, starting tomorrow because we'll be on leave. But back with trade setup from the 2nd of Jan. So looking forward to that. To you and yours, season's greetings and have a fabulous holiday season.